deal a lot of damage. That's why he's getting the second attack upgrade as well. And he's pretty close to one-shotting them as well anyway. And so he's just going to take the damage. Meanwhile, the Marines are going to move in, though. That attack actually probably was not worth it. Meanwhile, DDD will want to keep his Marines up around the middle here. He can see the needles moving around. And that Thor is going to be very effective. He keeps the Thor behind the... There's a lot of minerals being spent on turrets, though. It seems like DDE is actually sacrificing a lot of his advantage of building turrets. And I'm not saying it's not necessary, because EGIdra is definitely investing a lot in these Mutalisks. And if you should look, supply count, EGIdra's 30 ahead. Wow, so maybe I underestimated. Look at this nice ring of turrets. He's actually going to use the turret ring all the way moving up. In order to secure each leg of his journey as he moves towards EGIdra's 4th or 3rd, however you look at it. And that's actually, I actually do particularly like this because turrets are just so effective at Mutalisk defense, especially combined with Marines and Thors, as that Thor is about to fire and deal a good amount of damage, not too much. Oh, but that is a lot of Banelings though. That Siege Tank needs to siege up. And the Marines are gonna bounce back. Meanwhile, it looks like the Banelings are gonna get stuck for a little bit and get taken out. So it looks like DDE was actually able to save most of his forces there, and most of his Marines rather, and then the Mutalisks were forced to back off. Now the Siege Tanks and Thors are going to be able to get in position up front, and then he's going to go ahead and Magic Box the Thor. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Oh, actually, he was able to, in fact, take out all of the Marines, and so, in fact, it is going to be enough. He's going to have to back up. But this Thor and these missile turrets in the back are going to give him a place to back up to. You should probably bring a couple SCVs down to get repairs on these siege tanks. He wants to make sure that they don't get picked off just from random bounces from Mutalisks, as it's quite easy to find and do that. And in fact, that might be what EGIdra is trying. Maybe not. Oh, no, he doesn't want to move up there. Alright, I was going to say there's two Thors. Two Thors with a weapons upgrade, actually. And the weapons upgrade for Thors is very effective because it adds, against Mutalisks, because it adds 2 damage for each missile. So that damage plus its splash is incredibly effective. We do see a lot more Zerglings coming out from EGIdra. He's going to up his Zergling and Baneling count to tank damage from the siege tanks and to kill all of the Marines. After he kills all the Marines, he's going to, looks like he's going to attack in the counterattack. Sorry to hold that thought. Looks like he's going to be fairly effective there. But it looks like he's just going to keep ignoring that. But the Thor up top is actually going to be fairly effective at a defense. The way to end this for DDD, I think, would be to move in up front, because I don't think EGIdra can really engage this force without the Mutalisks. It's possible, actually. And in fact, he did bring up SCVs to repair that. Very smart move on the part of SixJacksDDE. He should probably repair the Medivacs as well, but I mean, I can't fault him. He's doing quite a lot. We do see the engagements coming in. The Mutalisks are coming in. They're magic boxing right over the Thors. However, it looks like the Zerglings are getting boxed in, but they already did a lot of damage to the Marines. It looks like DDE actually just didn't have enough Marines spread about this area, and in fact, the Zerglings are able to swarm the Thors, and once the Zerglings swarm the Thors, they're actually very effective in dealing with them, because Thor's fire rate is actually just so slow. And it looks like, maybe try to pick up that Thor. Probably should have tried to if he didn't. But able to deal with SixJacks's army, or DDE's army. Meanwhile, DDE is going to try to take a 4th right now. Interestingly enough, EGIdra actually doesn't have an Overlord actually spotting, so we actually can't tell for sure if this base has been taken. This Overlord should probably be a little bit higher. Or maybe he just knew it would be taken out if it was going to be a little bit higher there. But EGIdra's actually stockpiling a lot of resources, so actually I would say EGIdra seems to be ahead. Is his income pile? Yeah, his income level is actually decently higher, because he's already at his 5th base, although his 5th base was just secured. Meanwhile, it's flying one Mutalisk in over here just to see if this base is done. And in fact, the base is going to be done, but the turrets are going to be up before that Mutalisk is able to kill that guy, and that Mutalisk is definitely going to be taken out. Oh wow, that turret actually failed to build. DDE is going to want to finish that turret. Meanwhile, we went to Thor's. Nice Thor on the roof, and not able to be surrounded by Zerglings. Very effective. Also, a lot of repairing SCVs on auto repair. Very nice. Looks like the Zerglings, though, are going to be able to get in and deal a lot of damage. The Marines in the back are able to deal with them kind of nicely, but the Banelings are able to move up, deal with a couple of the Marines, and then the Zerglings are able to move up as well. I'm not quite sure why DDE decided to move out there. I think that was a big mistake. Unless he thought he was just being really desperate. Not a very good split there with his Marines either. The reason it was not a very good idea to move out is he didn't have that many Marines, and he didn't have that many siege tanks. So Thors, which are going to get Mutalisks and like any non-Zergling army, and they're going to tanking too, but you know, they're not that good at dealing damage to Zerglings. Marines are much more effective. And look at all those, look at all those Banelings that he has to deal with. Nice split though. Able to very much limit his losses for his Marines though. Might not be enough. He's able to get to the bunker luckily, but the bunker probably could have been picked off. I just decided not to take the losses from picking it off. But as I was saying, Thors are just not that good of damage dealers against Zerglings because they fire so slowly. And they have high DPS, but they fire slowly, and so they just can't kill Zerglings that accident. I don't even know if he notices that this turret isn't finished. He's probably going to finish it pretty quickly, hopefully, because there's a big group of Beetles that are about to move in. It'd be nice to have the turret. Looks like the Beetles are actually going to go right over the Marines, and they're just going to go around the turret line and take a decent amount of damage, but able to pick off a mule. Very nicely done. Not quite sure if that was worth it for EGIdra. Meanwhile, the Marines are just going to move up and try to pick off a Mutalisk. They're going to get 2, 3, 4 Mutalisks. Nice job. And an Overlord. But definitely worth the stim there. But anyway, with DDD, like when you move in as Terran, you can't really send paltry forces. You need to move in with everything. This is true with every race, by the way. You need to send everything in, and you need to attack all at once because each of your components of your army can be picked off piecemeal by the Zerg. Siege tanks can be taken up by Mutalisks. Thors without Marine support can be easily taken up by Mutalisks. Magic boxing, and Marines can be taken up by Banelings and Zerglings. And so what you need to do is you need to have a combination of forces so the siege tanks can take out the Banelings and so on, and this is going to be a very effective attack from EGIdra. These Zerglings are going to just get a really good surround on all the Marines, and the siege tanks are going to deal a lot of friendly fire damage to the Zerglings as well. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks are going to magic box over the siege tanks, and actually he was able to save a decent amount of Marines in the bottom. Nice job putting them in the little corner there to try to limit the amount of surface area the Zerglings could deal to them, and a good little scoot and shoot as well. Meanwhile, we see that there's a lot of resources actually being stockpiled for DDE's part. I think he wants to get a couple more unit-producing stations, unless he's just not macroing properly, which I believe he is, and he should probably actually just put reactors on these so he can build Marines faster. But he actually has a lot of barracks here, 9 barracks, and 3 factories, and 1 reactor starport. So that's actually pretty good for 4 bases, rather. I guess he's only mining off of 2, basically. This force is moving in, though. Siege tanks can't really siege up as a result of the Broodlords, and look at all those infestors. Those infestors, if they get 1 goop on those Marines, all those Marines are going to die. Not going to happen, though, and the infestors are going to have to back out. EGIdra should also think about getting Burrow, 100-100 upgrade, very effective for infestors, especially going below siege tanks and dropping infested Terrans on them so they shoot each other. That siege tank shouldn't be going that far ahead. He had a little bit of a bad AI problem. Meanwhile, we do see the power of the Broodlings versus siege tanks is you fire them, and then if these siege tanks are sieged up, they're going to blow up each other. And already he's picking up these siege tanks. There isn't that much of a force for DDE, actually, and he's getting backed up into a smaller and smaller corner. I don't believe he has any Vikings out right now. Does he have any? He does not have any Vikings out right now, so this is his army, and he's got to use this effectively. And ooh, if EGIdra was watching there, he definitely could have gotten a goop on those guys. And it looks like DDE realizes the predicament he's in. He realizes that he doesn't have any forces to counter all of these Broodlings, as well as the Infestors, as well as the... Actually, I don't think there's that much of another ground army for EGIdra. But DDE doesn't know that, and also it would be quite easy to get one pretty quickly. There also was a little drop up here. Not very effective. EGIdra was able to respond to it pretty quickly with the Mutalisks and the Zerglings, and I think if I check the workers lost, I think it was a decent amount of workers killed here. Probably was pretty well saturated, but EGIdra was already replacing them, and he was already getting flyer level attack 3, melee attack level 2, and that of course upgrades the Broodlings that the Broodlords shoot as well. Very good game on EGIdra's part. And EGIdra did a great job macroing these games. He was able to recover from any sort of short-term deficits, especially in this game. When he lost his third, he ended up getting behind. He was able to use Mutalisk Harass to force his opponent to build. Look at all these turrets he built. Look at all these turrets. Look at all these turrets. And this doesn't even count the turrets that were blown up. That's, what, 16 turrets? 24 turrets. Is that right? 16, 20 turrets. 24 would be if it's full. 20 turrets. That's 2,000 minerals. 2,000 minerals spent on turrets. Do you know how many Marines that is? That's 40 Marines. If you had 40 more Marines, you know, with that siege or with that Thor army, you know, that'd be very effective. And, you know, EGIdra committed heavily. I'm not saying he made a poor decision necessarily, but I'm saying that EGIdra did a good job by getting DDE to commit to have to get the turrets, because this map is kind of hard to maneuver around the lower and upper ground to be able to defend your bases. He had to get the turrets, and then EGIdra just switched out of Mutalisks, realized they weren't going to be effective anymore, got Broodlords, got Infestors, got Zerglings and Banelings, and was just able to get such an amount of Zerglings that he was able to just crush his opponent's armies in pieces whenever they moved out with their big pushes. So very good job on the part of EGIdra, very good job on the part of DDE as well. He played very well. These are very good games. I was really glad to be casting these. And so this is PGL Minecraft signing off.